Guys, Valentine's Day is coming up and it's time to elevate your romantic side. Don't worry, Uncle Chael is here to help. Go check out underluckystars.com. They make beautiful star maps showing the unique alignment of the stars during a place and time chosen by you. Birthday, engagement, wedding, a first kiss. It's an incredible gift to signify an important moment in your life. All you need to do is enter the time and location of your special moment, and you'll receive a beautiful archival print on museum quality thick matte art paper showing the exact constellation of the stars that were above you during that special moment in time. These maps are gorgeous, and this special gift will last for generations. Under Lucky Stars is the original star map maker, and their proprietary star mapping method is verified by NASA astrophysicists to ensure their accuracy. Visit underluckystars.com/Chael. That'll get you a 10% discount with code Chael, or just click on the link below. UFC is going down this Saturday live on pay-per-view. Get over to ESPN, and I got to tell you, I'm going to be in attendance. I love being at live events. My career will end in this sport the same way my career started, which is a fan. I get excited for these things. I get high on the moment. I can't sleep the night before. I'm a true fan. What do you do if you're putting on a massive event on pay-per-view? You're bringing in the world championship. You're bringing in number one contenders. You're bringing in the former number one contender against maybe the most popular heavyweight of all time. Right? I'm talking about Derek. I'm talking about Tai Tuivasa. What do you do if you put all of these pieces together and the athletes don't promote? What do you do? This is now the second time in a row you've been double-crossed by your alleged partners. You just put your heavyweights on display with the single greatest storyline in heavyweight title fight history, and those two decided to tell nobody. You then bring your 25-pounders in. It's a true trilogy fight. Sure, they screwed you the first time in terms of promotion, but boy, did they give you a great fight. Sure, they screwed you the second time in terms of promotion. You even had to move them down the card. They started as main event. Now they're going backwards. You're not counting too much on them, but boy, did they give you a special moment. So you go ahead and book it a third time. They decide to tell nobody. Now you right? It's the moving carnival. You tear the ring down, you load the truck up, you head to the next town, you start popping popcorn. What do you do when it happens to you again? Israel Adesanya is doing his absolute level best. History of fighting says the rematch is bigger than the original. The original, I'm talking about Adesanya versus Whitaker, did 57,000 live people. Imagine being in Dana White's shoes. Let me be in Dana. I'm Dana White. I went to a Providence in Australia that 18 months before did not welcome and even banned the sport. A year and a half later, I do the biggest crowd ever, 57,000, which has never been touched. Do you know how proud my mother would have been? I looked around and I said, Mom, I did this. Do you know how proud she would have been? So what am I going to do down the road? I'm going to get those guys back in there together. Of course. There's rules in promotion. There's laws in promotion. It's been around long enough. You can sit back, you can study. So for Dana to think that that fight's going to be a massive fight, and he does think that. Dana's been trying to make this fight ever since the first time he made this fight. Everybody's gotten in his way, including the guy giving him the opportunity, which is Robert Whitaker. Now, I got to tell you, I will not spare the lash. I prefer to not spare the lash. I can't give it to Robert Whitaker. I like him a lot. Whitaker's one of the good guys. I met Robert Whitaker, to personalize this, in a bathroom at an airport in Los Angeles. And we both washed our hands and said, oh, happy to see each other. You know, you got that brotherhood. We're both fighters. We're in the same weight class. We knew each other well. Like, he's just a good guy. I've been with him ever since. Interviewed him before and sat with him actually in Australia, but I do share with you. So I don't want to give him too hard of a time, but in all fairness, he is the weak link here. Adesanya is one of the greats on the stick. Adesanya allegedly just signed a contract bigger than anybody is in UFC history. I don't buy that. I don't think he beat Brock, and I don't think he beat Conor, but I also think you got to dismiss those guys. We're talking about biggest ever. I think sometimes you're not talking about Khabib or St. Pierre because those guys are off on an island. But in all fairness, and he might have, I don't know, but in all fairness, he did something very wonderful. But Adesanya does something nobody else does. It's why he gets something that nobody else can get. Every single fighter's commodity. The only thing you can monetize for all the risk and hard work that you go through is their performance. There's nothing else. Well, there is with Adesanya. Adesanya will entertain you at the press conference. He'll bring in eyeballs to your weigh-in. He'll make sure everybody tunes into the stare down. He'll entertain you from your living room if you just follow him on social media. He'll walk to the ring in an interesting way, and before the sumbitch leaves, he will set up his next fight. We are going to know who's fighting Adesanya next if Adesanya beats Whitaker and wins. If Adesanya doesn't beat Whitaker, nobody needs to tell us. Whitaker and Adesanya are fighting again. Now, that's extremely important because as you work down the card, you have what Cannonier and Derek Brunson believe to be the number one contenders match. They are dead positive. I would suspect that not only did they look at the rankings to have this level of certainty that I am one fight away from being in the fight, somebody's told them that. Was that person in a position of authority, meaning their initials are DW? Yes or no? I'm going to guess no. Izzy Adesanya will decide who he's fighting next. Again, there's rules and policies in place, and historically speaking, Adesanya is the fighter, the only fighter, who controls his own schedule. He does it not because that's in his contract. He doesn't have creative control like Hulk Hogan was given by Eric Bischoff back in the WCW days. Great reference by me right there, if you guys stayed with that one. He does it because he calls them out. He does it because the whole world's watching, not just your live audience, but your audience at home. All of the media, all of the pundits, and he gets the final word. He's the last interview of the night. Whatever he says is going to be the one thing of the entire event that sticks with you. You can't unwind that. If Adesanya says, I'm fighting Sean Strickland, if he says, I'm fighting Paulo Costa, if he says, I'm fighting Marvin Vettori, to millions, you just can't go to a press conference in a small little room later and hope that somebody sees it on a .com that drops at 1 a.m. You're never going to create something bigger than what Adesanya just did, and it's the reason that Adesanya gets to pick his own opponents. I bring that to because Cannonier and Brunson, who have done nothing. Brunson and Cannonier, when I say nothing, I've never seen anything like what Ciryl and Francis did. I've just never seen that. Not in heavyweight title fight history. I've never seen anything in championship history to be as small and poor of a job of letting the audience know who, what, when, why, and where as Figueiredo Moreno, part 3. Never witnessed that in my life, and I've been here since 1993 at inception. Cannonier and Brunson are on the page of those guys. They won't get the same dirt kicked on their face because it's not a feature bout. It's not even a title bout. But boy, it's a significant match. I look back at the history of Derek Brunson, who again, I got to disclose, I'm a supporter of. This guy did it all on his own. Derek Brunson should have been out of this business 4 years ago. Nobody believed in him. He took the hardest fights. He was brought in as an underdog B-side 4 different times that I can think of off the top of my head. 4 of the 6 times that he was in feature matches, he was supposed to come in second and found a way. He bleached the hair. They're calling him Blonde Brunson. I know that might sound simple, but it's not. It was very smart. It worked. That's a meme going around the internet. I've seen him walk into arenas before, Madison Square Garden. I happened to be there when he came in the building. The place went crazy for him. Only one to get out-cheered that night. And Chris Weidman was in attendance. This was his hometown. I mean, there were some people that got a lot of pop. The only one to outdo Blonde Brunson was Patty. Patty the Batty came in. He got the loudest reception, believe that or not. So a lot of credit goes to Brunson, but somewhere here, he's taking his eye off the ball. I believe his eye's off the ball because he believes he's sitting on an ace up his sleeve, and all he has to do is beat Jared Cannonier, who we're going to talk about next. I have a partner, Ryan. I go back and forth with Ryan. Ryan's the idea guy. He's supposed to be a doctor, and he's supposed to think about this deeper than me. So he comes with the ideas. He's the one that told me of the story of Jared Cannonier, and it was awesome. He's up in Alaska. He's driving truck. He's got a full-time job. He's got no money, on no sleep. He's going in. He's getting trained in. All of a sudden, he's getting pretty good at the sport at heavyweight. He never stops at 205, makes his way right down to 185. If he did stop at 205, I can't recall. Now, all of a sudden, he's a middleweight. He looks fantastic, and he's beating everybody's ass. But in all fairness, that story that I just told you that I had to be told by my friend Ryan, and I know Jared Cannonier, he's never told it. I look back at the history of Cannonier. This is very off for Brunson. Brunson's always going to do something. For whatever reason, he sat this one out. Jared Cannonier, in all fairness, is much like Ciryl Gane. Ciryl never done a goddamn thing. There wasn't anything weird about Ciryl doing nothing for the Francis fight. That's in line with what he's always done, and Jared's painted with that same brush. But I believe that Jared, much like Brunson, believes I'm in a number one contenders fight, which you are not. And it doesn't matter who told you that. It's 85-pound division. If Whitaker wins, Adesanya will be fighting Whitaker in a trilogy for the belt. If Adesanya wins, he will let us know who it's going to be. And in all fairness, if I was to guess, he's going to call out either Cannonier or Brunson. I get that. But that is nothing to hang your hat on. That is not a strategy or a plan. That is hope. Hope is not a strategy. It might all work out. I know plenty of people in life that do absolutely nothing, and it tends to work out for them. Right? What did Bruce Lee say? Having no way is a way. Having no plan is a plan. Like, there is a level of truth to that. But I just want you to understand what you're getting into. Because the boss has been burned twice now. These are his partners who he's supposed to count on, who are on pay-per-view main cards, headlining arenas that have their name on the marquee because he believed and expected in something for them. And now, for the first time ever, in back-to-back, they're doing nothing. I was the king of the middleweights. I really feel that in my heart. When I was on top, I never lost a minute. I never lost a round. I never lost a fight. I'm very attached to that weight class. For Brunson and Cannonier to not study the sport well enough to know if you can't bring in eyeballs, you're not guaranteed a number one contender fight. If you're a number one contender, are you at least the co-main event? No, they're not. That should be a giant red flag. If I'm one fight away from being in a world title fight and I'm not even a co-main, I'm jerking the curtain for a dude from a whole nother country that wants to drink beer out of somebody's ball protector. I got a problem with that. I am going to be fighting tooth and nail. I'm going to be in every question. What does Brunson do? Brunson comes out not studying the history of the sport and declares, I got 2 fights left. I'm going to beat Cannonier, and then I'm going to the world title fight. I'm going to win that world title, and I'm going to walk out on top. Now, that is something really cool. I mean, it truly is, because now he knows his motivation. He has burnt his boats. I do not have time. There's not next year. I see sophomores and freshmen and juniors do this all the time. Well, I still got my senior year. I still got next. No, you don't have any time. Right now. To build that in is a very good thing. Let's go back to the history of the sport. History of the sport says nobody gets to go out on top. And in the history of the sport, which has been around for 104 years in this country, and I'm including boxing, 2 guys have ever gone out on top, Klitschko and St. Pierre. So when I tell you nobody gets to go out like that, it's not just because you stick around until you get beat. It's not just because you're never done with this business. One day you wake up and the business is done with you. It's because nobody will put you in that opportunity. Why would I put a sumbitch in an opportunity if he's going to walk away? Is he not following the sport, the history of the sport? Many people have spoken that way. Nobody was given the chance because we will take you at your word. Francis Ngannou did not speak that way, got up to the loft, pulled the ladder up behind him, and look at the problems going on now. Nobody gets to go out like that, but if you don't study the sport, you don't deserve these things. In all fairness, if you think it's about a left and a right hand, that's MMA. It's unified rules. They do that in lots of places. If you want to be the champion, if you want your contract to change, if you want to be in a marquee position, we're never going to have a discussion. I'm going to trust that you know. You're going to trust that I know. We're professionals and we're here at the table. But if you don't follow the sport, if you don't know the history, if you couldn't pass a pop quiz with at least 75%, I can't put my strap around you. I can't even risk putting my strap around you. I do believe Adesanya is going to call out the winner of Brunson Cannonier. Adesanya has hinted in that direction. But if you think that that's cause to relax, then I trust that you just bet the house on Adesanya, but I know you didn't. Because you're aware Whitaker could beat him. So if you're resting, I'm going to be a number one contender. On not only do I got to beat either Jared Cannonier or Derek Brunson, I then need Izzy Adesanya to stop Whitaker, and then ultimately I just need him to say my name. I wouldn't sleep very well at night. That's not a plan. But it's the spot that we're in. And for the first time ever, we've been here twice in a row. 2 in a row, where the entrusted partners decided not to tell anyone that they're fighting.